Seth Rogen. Godin,
Boom.
God. Seth Godin. He delivered.
Okay, we are live. Sorry about that, folks, for jumping on a couple minutes late. We were having some technical difficulties. Ian, geez, it's been a long day.
I know, you know what? It's allowed. It's allowed.
Ian and I are both out of town right now. We're in Dallas. Ian got the better lighting. I got the closet in the next to the broom. So we're gonna roll with it. But on as always, we have the benevolent parade, Ian of Austin. Glad to have you back, sir.
Always.
That's a good question. Where does the Treviso of Florida live? We'll get to that in a second. Kevin, it's been a long time, man. Good to see you.
What's up, brother? How are you?
Good, man. And then our special guest, Ken Posick from Orlando, one of the best YouTubers that I've seen, one of the YouTubers with one of the, let me take a step back, realtors that also happens to have mega realtors that also happens to have a great YouTube channel, YouTube presence. Ken, welcome to the channel, man.
Man, thanks for having me on. I'm excited to hang out with you guys.
Yeah. So let's dive in. Normally we start off and do a bunch of fun stuff, talk about the market and stuff like that. But tell everybody a little bit about yourself. What makes Ken? What's your business look like a little bit? And then what are you seeing? Well, we'll get into the market stuff, but who are you? What do you do? Let's talk about it.
Heck yeah. So I'm a real estate agent, much like you guys here in Orlando, and didn't always grow up here. I grew up in Detroit, was a real estate agent there, and I've been doing this for like 16 years or so. And 2016, I was like, I'm kind of sick of living in Michigan, and so I'm going to start over. And we're huge Disney fans, Florida fans in general. So we ended up popping down here. And 3 years ago, I got into YouTube and kind of just digging into that space, figuring it out along the way. And it's a big pillar of our business. So this year, we scaled up our business in terms of people quite a bit. So we've got marketing manager, inside sales people, agents, and that kind of thing. We'll probably round out the year around $130 million in volume. And that works out to be just under 300 sides.
Yeah. So you sell a ton of real estate. So you're getting all the phone calls from everybody moving from all the cities, states around the world who said, I'm tired of living just like you, tired of living in this city for whatever reason. I'm moving to Florida. So that you're the person they're calling.
Yeah, very similar to you guys in Texas, I'm sure, right? Like, what the heck am I doing living in the North? If I can do, if I can work anywhere because of this, crazy thing that we went through over the past couple of years, why don't I do it in better weather, better taxes, whatever reason? There's a lot of them. And it's been, good for us in terms of just traffic. And thankfully we caught on the YouTube thing at the right time, and it's been really good.
That's awesome. So, there's some people out there that are calling for, a crash, and they use very deceptive analytics to do that. But it's one thing when you have people who are actually boots on the ground, right? Who see what's happening on a daily basis, see the need. So if people are calling you, right? What is the main reason that they're calling you and saying, hey, I'm looking to move to, whether it's Orlando, Miami, can you give me an agent in Tampa? Like, why are they calling you? And what are the reasons that you're hearing people saying, I'm ready to leave?
So, so it's either job relocation or it's, I can be flexible. So now I want to be closer to Disney. So I'm moving to Orlando. I would say definitely a certain subset of it is politics. I live in a state that I'm not super comfortable with, whatever it is for my kids. And so Florida seems a little bit more like our jam. That's not everybody, but obviously 50% of the people or so. And so it's a little bit of everything, it's been really interesting from that perspective.
What do you think the number one reason is that people are like, if it's for their family or whatever, what's the number one reason people are choosing Florida over other states? It's like Texas, right? So, I mean, let's be honest, people are moving to redder states. So what are the reasons that they're picking Florida over Texas?
Yeah, you nailed it. They're moving to red states for, they say freedom, right? And so it's just, hey, it seems like your governor, even though we got I think very similar to Austin, we got a very Democratic local politics and then very red statewide politics. And so, but they're moving here because they say, hey, listen, I feel like California is a little too restrictive, kind of would rather live my own life. And, oh, by the way, I can get something a little bit cheaper on the real estate side with no state income tax, and seems like a more business friendly climate. Let me get over to Florida. So I see that more often than not, that's the conversation we're having.
Awesome. So for me, I get a lot of people that say, I'm looking to move to this market or that market or whatever. I'm thinking about moving to Florida. What jobs are people actually moving to work in Florida versus are they doing just like, all right, I can work from home, so I'm going to go live in Miami? Like what does that look like?
I think, yeah, I mean, so Miami and like Palm Beach area has become like this little Wall Street. This guy, I think all of us know, like Palm Beach Paul, right? He's posted this video.
Yeah.
He was talking about like, Palm Beaches are becoming like the new Wall Street. So there's a lot of financial jobs in South Florida happening. In Orlando in general, we're still theme park driven. Like Disney just decided, hey, we're going to leave California in a big way. And we're bringing 2,000 of our high paying jobs from California to Florida. So we see a lot of that. And then our healthcare industry is blowing up. So we get a lot of doctors moving here from New York, from Jersey, from DC, from LA, from like all these places that they were making really good money, but they can make more money here. And then they also get a lifestyle break in terms of just property taxes, home prices, like everything's cheaper in terms of price of living here. So seeing a lot of that, I would say. So yeah, financial, IT, the space industry is getting really big here. So we're getting more and more diverse. And I think the political spectrum around here is welcoming that. And because of that, we're seeing some diversification. So it's not just your grandma moving here to finally retire to Florida anymore.
And I'm super curious, how many people do you have coming from Texas moving to Florida?
Not many. We get a lot of people. Yeah, it's a lot of people that are like, we're in California, we're trying to decide Texas or Florida, or we're in Ohio and we're trying to decide Texas or Florida. But yeah, it's not a ton. What about you guys? Do you guys see a lot of people coming from Florida to Texas?
Well, for what it's worth, my mom is retired in Orlando as of recently. So
I mean, it is Florida still, but yeah.
I'm just kidding. My brother actually works for the city of Orlando as one of the city planners. So
oh, dude. Well, he's probably super busy, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's very busy right now.
Yeah, I've had a few clients that are coming from Florida, but it's usually, like you said, it's job related or something like that, and they're not ready to retire, and so they'll relocate. But otherwise, not many. Like you said, it's from the north, or whenever California runs out of people. I don't know when that'll happen.
Yeah, they've got a little while to go, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good with that, though.
I can think of maybe one person that was considering coming from Florida to here. But now that I really think about it, I don't think I've had anybody leave and say that they wanted. Not that, again, I don't know that the debate is like that Florida's bad. I think they're very similar types of environments. It's just one is slightly hotter than the other. And I'll let you decide which one that might be.
That's it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you which one I think it is.
Okay. I think you guys have a few more places in your state that are, from a real estate perspective, probably hotter than we are. We're not seeing like the stories I hear from you guys in Austin. Like we don't see, like we're still multiple offers, waived appraisal, over asking, like stuff like that. But nothing like the crazy stuff I see coming out of Austin. So I would think because of your tech sector, you got a lot of that Silicon Valley 2.0. It seems as though from the outside looking in, every time I go to Austin, it's like, new skyscraper, Google's doing something new. So I'm sure you guys, because of that, your prices are getting pretty insane.
Yeah. There's so much going on actually, even downtown. I had a lot of people like a year or 2 years ago when they had announced a couple of these big projects, or like the Independent, which is one of our tallest buildings, had just finished. They're like, man, what happens when nobody buys all these condos? And now there's like, I mean, that I can think of, there's probably like 5 or 6 condo buildings downtown that are in process. 2 of which, like one of them was a lease only building, and they opened like 3 months ago or 4 months ago, and they're like 60% leased already, and expect to lease 100% by the end of the year. So yeah, it's getting absorbed really, really fast.
Yeah, we're seeing that a ton here, where they're for lease only buildings, which is kind of frustrating. Like I'd love to sell some condos. Like they're building these beautiful tall buildings, and they're for lease only, and I'm like. It's not helping any of it, but you're right. Like they open up and they'll have like within a week, they lease out 400 units. And I mean, there's like 1,000 people moving to Central Florida every week. So it's wild.
We debate that a lot here though, Ken, about, how we feel, and I feel, and I'm not going to speak on everybody else's behalf, but that a lot of the market here is moving towards forced rental ownership. That people still want to be here. They know that they want to be here. They may think that they want to buy, but they're not sure yet. And there's other people that want to be here and know that they can't afford to buy, but are happy to lease. Yeah. So I've seen, when we looked last week, we were looking Austin Business Journal. There were like 4 or 5 articles about projects that were in process, not even downtown, but that were planned housing developments, ground level, that they were only building all of them to lease. And one of them was actually similar to this other community, I think it was in Florida, that Dwell community, which is like micro living, like 500 to 700 square feet places.
Right. Yeah. And those things lease out super well too, because the lease prices are slightly less, you know?
Totally.
What do you think about the heat compared to Austin? You were here a few weeks ago. You totally ghosted me. You're like, oh, I don't want to hang out with you. I just want to go to a KW event thing. How do you compare the heat? How do you compare the heat to Austin, like Austin compared to where you are in Orlando?
You guys have like, obviously that, in my opinion, much drier heat compared to, we've got the humidity all year round. Like even when it's cold out, the humidity, like, you know, jumps on you. And so, yeah, I think it's way more humid. It's harder to breathe here compared to Austin, but your guys' heat was much more intense than what we have here.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in Phoenix for a lot of years, and I'll take Austin heat over Phoenix heat, because 117, I mean, 117 is 117. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So one of the questions we had on here, and this is, I think, a really good, you know, if we're comparing apples to apples, right? We're comparing red state to red state. Not that I want to make this political, but I mean, that's where people are moving. You know, people are moving here for no income tax, right? They're moving to Austin, no income tax. But the problem we run into is our property taxes here are about, on average, 2 to 3. Katie Day from Houston was on here a while ago and said there's a community in Houston for 4%. So, you know, and plus, you know, our prices, and we'll talk about pricing here. Our prices over the last year have gone up. You know, at one point it was 44% or 45%. Now it's like 35%. So that being said, what are you seeing for property taxes? Are they actually lower there? And is it a lower sales tax?
So, so it depends on where you're at in Orlando. It's either going to be 6 or 6.5% for sales tax, and then on the real estate tax, it depends. It's either 1.2% or 1.4% of your assessed value, and the assessed value seems to be about 70% of market value. They lag behind a couple of years, it seems like. So, like, you know, we live in a $750,000 house. Our taxes are like $9,000.
$759,000. Damn, I'm a little jealous. I would say my house is valued less than that. Well, it won't be very long, but let's say 600. Ours is like 13,000 for taxes. Yeah.
Do you guys feel like you get good services? Like you get good schools, good stuff like that for that?
Yeah, overall, depending on where you are in AISD, you know, a lot of people are moving closer to the hill country. So you have like Dripping Springs, which is really good schools. Tax rate in some of those neighborhoods is 2.97. So yeah, so tax rate, that's, you know, for people that are leaving, you know, New York, they're leaving California. If you're looking at like, okay, I'm not paying 13% sales income tax, right? But then you have to do the math for yourself. Does it make sense to move here? Because yeah, you're paying income tax, but it might actually be a little bit cheaper to still live in California. You know, that math you got to do for yourself. I can't do it off the top of my head.
You know, Steven asked a good question when he said, so obviously no state income tax.
Wait, I know Steven asked a good question, but is it okay to rock a mullet in Florida?
Well, you've seen Florida Man, I'm sure it's the cool thing about Florida is it's acceptable to do anything you want in Florida. That's pretty much the deal.
The fun thing I always see this is like, yeah, you're supposed to Google like your birth month and day and then Florida Man and see what comes up.
Yep.
Always something fun.
Sorry, Ian, I cut you off. What did Steve say?
It's all good. I was just curious. So he said, where do they get their money from then, right? If you're not getting it from the income tax or the property tax, where do they get their money from in Florida?
Yeah, tourism tax is huge. Hotel tax, all that kind of stuff that runs Orlando in a big way. Yeah, I mean, our sales tax is 6.5% in like the tourism corridor. So that extra 0.5% goes to a lot of infrastructure. Like we have toll roads everywhere. I don't know if you guys have toll roads or not, but like pretty much every major road that's not like I-4, which is the big interstate, is a toll road. And so that covers a lot of that. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Is home insurance actually more expensive?
Yeah, so it just went up like 25%. So it used to be, so again, like call it a 3,500 square foot house, something newer construction, you'll pay like $1,700 a year.
Wow.
Is that good or bad for you guys? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I would say ours would probably be about 1,000 to 1,200
Yeah.
is what I typically quote most people when somebody goes, hey, what is it? This is usually about what it is.
Yeah, so it's a little bit higher there, maybe 20, 30% higher than you guys. We have a ton of roof fraud here. That they claim that's why it just jumped up 25%, because every time a storm event comes through, like a hurricane, even if it's in like South Florida, you have all these roofers in Orlando, even though we had no weather event here, and they'll come in and force an insurance job on you. And so you've got a ton of roof fraud. So that's got to force a lot of our insurance up. So now there's all this reform they're trying to get through to drive some of these prices back down.
Interesting. Ian, you had a question. I forgot what it was.
I asked it, but also, I mean, I like Antoine's question. So it's funny because I remember there being that issue with the sinkholes. Is that really a problem? Do you get that a lot when buyers are moving there?
It's funny because it's usually the out-of-state buyers that are always like, oh, I'm going to get a sinkhole insurance inspection, from my State Farm's going to come out and and we see them. It's not like something that we're all worried about. They happen from time to time. There's actually a whole heat map online. You can go see where they're like more prevalent. And usually it's like out in farm country, but it's not something that's like as crazy, at least in Orlando, like Central Florida.
So comparing it to Texas, what else do we have? Weather, does it rain there all the time, or is there just a season for that?
I just did a video on this actually. Yeah. So it's like, 100 days out of the year it rains. And so it's the sunshine state, but it's only sunny here 230 days out of the year. And then there's this whole season through the summer where like people are vacationing here, and it rains like 20 minutes every single day. So like if you pull up like in June and you're like, I'm going on vacation, I'm going to hit Disney World. And then you're like, oh, it's going to rain every day I'm there. That's pretty typical, but it's just like a flash. It hits you for 20 minutes and then it's gone.
Yeah, but that 20-minute hit, that's a monsoon.
It's a downpour. Yeah, exactly.
It will destroy you. That's fun.
So I meant to do this earlier, Ken. Sorry, I've been sitting here having technical issues. New laptop, who dis? But I wanted to show your YouTube channel just so people could, if they wanted to reach out or kind of see some of the content that you're creating about Orlando. I mean, in this space, on YouTube, we like to give a lot of good information. I feel like you do a lot of good information about Florida and Orlando. So I just want to shout out your channel here. You can find Ken here. So did I remove? Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry. I thought I removed you, Kevin. My bad. So let's talk about pricing. All right. So most people are leaving some of these big cities and they're saying, hey, I want to leave X city because it's so expensive and all the other things we've talked about. Are they finding that it's just as expensive in Florida, or, over the last year, I'm sure there's been a huge price increase. What does the price increase look like? And do people still find it affordable?
Yeah. So year over year was 14%, which is not nearly as bad as it was for you guys.
Yeah.
But no, they're coming here thinking they're going to steal something. Typically they're like, oh, I'm looking for a 3,000 square foot pool home on a half acre. I've got $300,000 to spend. I'm like, yeah, that's come back. And when it was 1999 sort of thing. So it's, so pricing definitely has jumped up in Orange County in general. Like if you're looking for a new construction home, like roughly 2,500 square feet, you're going to spend $500,000. So Orange County is like where Orlando's at, where the more popular areas are. School districts are really good, close to everything. But we got like some Lake County areas, like which are to the west, maybe 45 minutes from like where the core of everything is. And you could still get a new construction house for like 375, 400. So when you couple that with like, all the other pluses, I think it's really good for people.
So do you have a lot of that? A lot of new construction? Like Texas, we have land for years. Like we're good there.
You're
but
good
do you
there,
have
yeah.
a lot of open space where you can build?
We do, yeah. So we've got, Lake County and Osceola County are 75% rural, and they just keep going. So like it's 30% of our sales last year were new construction. Now, like overall units, it's going to be down this year, but percentage wise, it held true because of just like you guys were seeing supply issues and trade issues and all the other kind of crap. So, yeah, it's pretty consistently a third of our business, which sucks because a lot of builders are paying us nothing. Literally nothing. So yeah, that's fun times.
Are they coming back to start paying you more now? Have
Dude,
you noticed
yes.
it changing a little bit?
So, early on, we're talking about going into how the market's doing and what do people think, right? And so I look at like two indicators for us right now. It went from like Lennar. I don't know if you guys have Lennar there, but like,
Oh
they,
yeah.
they were
We
paying
do
like,
not. Yes, we do.
are we allowed to talk about what we get paid on here? We're not like talking, like, so they were paying
Yeah.
us, like,
You go ahead.
Not colluding.
All right.
Just
So
informing.
yeah, there we go. So they were paying us like $2,500 for an $800,000 sale.
Mhm.
And it was like, they're like, really, we don't even want to work with realtors. So we're going to give you this token, $2,500. And so it got to be really tough. And they built a really crappy house here anyway. So it was, for me, it was like, do you really want warranty issues? Let's go see something else. But anyways, they've started coming back around like, oh, now we'll give you like 1.5% and we'll give your buyers a little bit of closing costs. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. And then all of a sudden, all these other builders are like, hey, Ken, it's so good to see you. I heard you're doing really well. We got some new spec homes opening up. I'm like,
Mhm.
that's kind of weird. I haven't heard from you in 18 months. That's great. And so I feel like those are like little indicators where you start to see like they're starting to pay full commission. They're starting to give buyer incentives again, like, oh, there's something happening here. We haven't seen this kind of thing for a while. That plus like, instead of going against 22 offers on a house, we're only going against like 5. And so,
Nice.
I think things are, at least in our area, normalizing a little bit.
Well, it's funny you brought up the builder thing. I just did a video on my channel here, basically saying not necessarily about what they're paying agents, but I'm seeing a ton of builders going, hey, by the way, our bad. We missed you. It's been so long since we've seen you. Hey, by the way, we're gonna take $10,000 off our prices, and we're gonna give your client $7,500. So I had a full video on that. Actually, it landed Tuesday. So it's funny you say that because Austin. So I have a lot of agent friends all over Florida. And I was here before Lennar did that whole thing. They started it in Florida. I had agents going, yeah, I can't believe what Lennar is doing. And then right after that, they did it. And to your point, 100% with Lennar's, I've had clients crying at the closing table because they had no choice because the prices in that time were going up so quickly. They had to close on this house, and they were literally crying because the quality was on
Garbage.
this. I can think of one specific home. So, Lennar is going to be like, oh, you said no. I can think of one specific home. I had a client literally crying at closing. Like, I don't want to do this, but I have no other choice.
Well, you know what they were
And
doing?
it was disappointing. It was really disappointing.
It's so disappointing. Like the fact that they get away with that stuff because, so here's the thing. Like, I think that whether you're a person or you're a corporation, like when the market's like that, you show who you really are. Right. And if you're going to put profit over people and that's just who you are, like, okay, cool. Then I've got your number for the future. Right. And so for us, like for you guys, do they have the 2-stage inspection for new construction? Like you do like your pre-walk and then your final?
Yep.
Yeah. So like here, they got rid of the second walk. They're like, hey,
Yep.
we're gonna have your Oh, it was like, bring your home inspector out, give us the list. And then you just trust us that it gets done. And then if you find anything after closing, call warranty, right? And then you just find out they didn't do anything on the list. And so, and then now it was like, oh no, sorry, you can't bring your inspector anymore. And you're like, come on, like it's a nightmare. I couldn't imagine.
Well, Jeremy, you just said something really important there. You said couldn't afford something else. That's a big reason why a lot of people choose that builder.
Right. Oh yeah, no, they're definitely in the price points that are like, hey, you can't afford anything else, so we're it for you, right? So
we're in the situation where we have similar similar tier of builders, but they're either bidding or just out of house, like they can't build because they can't afford to buy the land.
Right.
Or that one.
Well, I mean, if you also think about like, and maybe you can enlighten us a little bit on how your market has gone, but they had put this property in a contract like June, July, and it was closing the very beginning of the year. Prices from June, July of 2020 to early 2021 had increased significantly. So if you wanted something in the 400 price point, that was your only choice. And they were moving. They had moved. This couple had moved from Dallas. All their stuff's in a pod waiting for this house to close, and they have no choice. And it's tough because like I don't want to pick on that builder specifically because all of us has had experience with reps. We get to work with the builder reps and we build rapport with the builder reps. And, if there's an issue, we deal with the builder reps and then we go above them. But I can't tell you how many great reps I've worked with at that company.
Yes.
The construction crew, the general man or the construction manager, and they're just like, look, this is what the upper people are telling me to do. I have to do that, and I feel for you. I understand. I mean, so it's really tough for me to see that builders have done that to a lot of people, and they're getting away with it. Have you seen one thing that we saw here in Austin, and I want to see if you've seen it, is where now that prices have increased, they're looking for reasons to terminate on clients?
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, that's I think why you would get at the end and they've got this list of 35 things that they didn't finish. And they're like, well, listen, you can walk if you want. It's fine. We'll give you your deposit back. And then we're going to go mark it up $100 grand and sell it. And so we've got, like, I'm building a townhouse right now, not with Lennar, but with another builder. And, they're just blaming on supply chain issue. But the problem is, like, I locked in a price for an investment property at like 300 grand. Those same ones are selling for 400 grand. And they're like, well, fine, we'll give you your deposit back. Take it. It's fine. And I'm like, well, no, I mean, I still want my townhouse. I just want you guys to deliver. Right.
Right.
And it's, we're seeing that a lot of those as well.
So Kyle Green says, I'm wrong about everything. My thoughts, I think you're wrong. So there you go. I don't know. Sometimes it's fun to have good trolls. Kyle, don't know who you are, man. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for being a champion of the channel.
Oh, man. Thanks for adding to the algorithm, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. So, you've seen the market do this crazy gymnastics over the last year. What are your anticipation for the end of this year going into 2022? Just overall, overview thoughts of the market and Florida.
So I think because we are starting to see sort of like this little shift, as long as interest rates don't go crazy, I think we'll still see like a 4 to 5% appreciation next year, like towards the end of this year and next year. I don't think we're going to see the 14-15% that we saw this year. And so if interest rates though start eking up, I think we'll come to a halt, because I think we're already, like, when I look at the average incomes here for even a dual income household here, we're at the peak of what people can afford. And so unless incomes all of a sudden skyrocket, any little shift in interest rates, and people are going to be like, I can't afford it. I'm already 35% DTI or whatever on my house. And so, I think that's kind of where I see it headed. What about you guys?
Bueller? I'll let you guys talk.
I mean, I don't know. I hate to predict these type of things. We've all been saying for months, like, again, I'm not speaking on behalf of these guys. I'm just reiterating what we've collectively been sharing, is that we feel like that's probably true. I don't know that interest rates will increase fast enough or great enough in this time period to really affect it that much. But I also believe too that our market, I don't think, will be as affected by these other factors. I think we've got enough other large momentum situations and employers and things going on that even if they do happen, I think a bump in the road would be short-lived and quickly absorbed. I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about your market, but I don't know that I've heard that Orlando is getting a lot of these other industries besides, what's there already or what's supporting the area. But I can imagine that they're not growing salaries as quickly as like maybe the tech industry would be.
No, I think that tech is so unique in that they're like paying people like insane, crazy money, right? We're theme park driven. Yeah. Even like medical, but you've got most of them aren't brain surgeons. They're nurses and orderlies and stuff like that. Right. And so, yeah.
The thing though is that if you can work anywhere, in a lot of cases, the people that are in tech can work anywhere, right? So it's not just the job that's having them relocate here, right? I think it's the lifestyle as well.
True.
And the community as well. And so I guess comparing it to Florida, my question would be, how much attrition are you seeing? And like Kevin said, how many new jobs are you seeing in different sectors coming in?
In terms of like news, did someone say theme park? Yeah, exactly.
Oh man,
that's awesome. We did a whole video about a specific theme park that someone spilled the beans on this channel that a specific theme park was moving or bringing a park to Texas, specifically the Austin area. And after we went live on that clip, let's just say some interesting emails came out, and I had to remove that video. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, and here's the deal: not that I was wrong, but just that the information was out.
Interesting.
Or not? Sorry. I apologize. I did not give the information. The guest on the channel gave the information. So sorry, I did not give the information. But not that he was wrong, that he had given the information.
Hey,
so.
awesome.
Just so you're aware too, I had today a local, unverified, unattached third party verify some information relative to that as well. Just so you're aware. I didn't prompt it. They said this happened, blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell you guys about it later, but not here.
Sounds like somebody needs to put that video back up.
Jesus, yeah, I was gonna say, hopefully you didn't delete it. You just
No.
You just unpost it or whatever. Yeah.
Well, I set it to what's it called? Not
Unlisted.
private, but unlisted, and it was still like going crazy because people had shared the link all over Facebook, and so I got additional emails like, "Hey, that video still really should come down." Some people might be coming with their lawyers, so please pull it down.
That's funny. The mouse. I'm good friends with the mouse. I've got a lot of friends that work there. They give me some inside information. It's interesting.
Whoa. We did not imply that at all.
Yeah, these guys.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that?
Your little ears.
Oh.
Anyways, but they're coming for you guys. I'm sure at the very, very least, they're going to be building 55 and older communities with Disney with you guys big time. I would think that in Texas, in Austin, in Dallas, that's definitely on their runway. But in terms of theme parks, that'd be cool. I think I'm a big theme park nerd. If you couldn't tell.
I have a question for you, Ken, because this is what I would think. I'm just putting myself in the view of a buyer that would be going to Florida. I mean, a Florida buyer potentially has a lot of different options above and below the frost line anyway. But then Fort Lauderdale, great place. Orlando, great place. What's south of, or like Sarasota is awesome. I love the beaches there. Tampa feels like it's a really kind of a cool environment as well. Mm-hmm. Destin in the Panhandle. So are you getting people that come there like with the intent that they're going to be in Orlando? Or are they like thinking about Orlando as one of the options for them to come to Florida? Or do you get both maybe?
I would say the phone calls we get, people are definitely digging into where do we want to move. But once they come and visit, they're usually bought in. I would say the biggest ones for us is either Orlando or Tampa. Tampa's only 90, like an hour or 90 minutes away, depending on where you're going in Tampa, but it's not that far, and so we're usually, once they're here looking or, hey, we want to do a tour, they're already kind of bought into the area.
So let me ask you this. So you don't see the market, well, potentially don't see the market doing a crazy dive in the next year. If someone was going to invest in Florida, like let's say they wanted to do an Airbnb in Orlando, is it possible to still do an Airbnb affordably, and does it make sense?
No. I tell people big hard no. I mean, it does. Here's the interesting thing, because rates are actually the highest they've ever been, and occupancy is also the highest it's ever been. But they're building them like crazy, and the management fees take out really all of your profit. So if you're going to self-manage and you live here, you can make a lot of money. But if you're like handing it over to a management company, they're going to take their 30 to 40%. Couple that with pricing, it's not affordable. And so I tell folks because I get this call every single day. I was like, yeah, we want to buy an Airbnb. We want to, just be able to use it for a couple months out of the year. I'm like, okay, cool. So you're doing this to like offset your costs, not because it's a great investment. And that's what rings true here anyways.
I feel differently on that though. I know a lot of people know that maybe I am not traditional in that regard. I feel like if anybody's paying off my asset, even if I'm not massively cash flowing, I'm totally fine with that. And I do have clients
negative cash flow up to what number?
Well, I mean, how negative would it really even be in a situation like that for your market and Airbnb?
Anywhere between like $400 and $1,500 negative a month.
I still would be okay with that, paying $400 to have a paid off asset. That's my
But what,
philosophy.
but what if I could take you 15 minutes away and give you a long-term asset that you're actually cash flowing $200 or $300 a month, and they're also paying it off? I guess that's the
Well,
that's the
yeah, I mean,
trade-off.
obviously in that case, like in our market, that's not even a conversation, because like in the neighborhoods where I can lease, like I could lease a home from somebody for $5,000 a month, and I can get $1,000 a night on Airbnb.
Got
right.
it.
And then occupancy is 80%. So that's a no-brainer. But even in that case, I would be like, I'd be building an asset in one of the hottest areas of town. And I do have clients that own properties in Florida that have been purchased within the last 12 to 18 months that are like crushing it right now.
Are they
Of course, those
self-managing, or are
coastal.
are they handing it over?
I think he is self-managing. He has some people on the ground though that work with them. It's not like they're there and doing it, but it's also coastal, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so that can make a big difference versus Disney.
Yeah, no, I think it's smart. I think there's definitely still some money there. As if again you have like if you're self-managing, meaning you're doing all the bookings, you're doing some of the back end work where you're counting, where you're not having to give away 30-40% of the gross revenue, then I think it's definitely a doable thing. But most people they're absentee. They live in the UK, they live in Canada, they live in Brazil. They don't have any aspirations to do anything. So for us, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. But there's ways to make it profitable. I think I'm investing in long-term because that's where the profit is here.
I wonder how many of those people end up going and using their own Airbnb versus letting someone use it during peak times, right? Because I would imagine that's a problem for some people.
Well,
Yeah.
I bought an Airbnb on the coast in Texas, and I have a really great property manager now. The problem is I can never use it because she's got it booked all the time, which is great. So, so you said 15 minutes away. So if somebody's going to be investing in the area, where is the best ROI if somebody's investing, in your opinion?
So I think there's, are you a cash flow investor? Or are you looking for somebody, or looking for the appreciation? And so like for us,
well, what are you getting mainly? Like what are most people asking you about?
Most people are looking for appreciation. So like the Lake Nona area in Orlando, like they don't allow Airbnbs. If they find out, you get charged like $500 a night for like, HOA violation. But that's one of the very few areas in Orlando that's going up like still 1% a month. Like there's just so much demand. That's where the new Disney campus is. They're building like $1 billion building there right now. And, so there's a ton of demand. And so, but like, if you're looking for cash flow with like medium size appreciation, like the Lake County area, like to the west, there's still plenty of land. They're doing new construction. You could buy something, put it on a 15-year note, rent it out immediately, and not have to worry about anything. New AC, new roof, everything's already done for you. So that's kind of like, we see a lot of investors doing that as well.
So they're long-term leasing in 15-year notes and still cash flowing.
Yeah, breaking even, not like making anything.
I don't know that you can do that here anymore.
No, not on a 15-year, unless you're putting a significant down, like a significant amount of money down.
Yeah,
which is why
25%.
Yeah, I mean, which is why we say a lot, and I am confident of that. Like that, I would be cool at that price point losing $100 or $200 a month to build the asset, to have the asset, and that's kind of what the numbers are here. It's $100, $200, maybe $300, but not much more than that.
Sure.
But that's on a 30-year note.
Yeah. Well, all right. So Kyle came back and was very nice. Thanks, Kyle. Just messing with Jeremy. So there's another channel. I'll let you know, Ken, and you've probably seen this. They specialize. This person specializes in videos specifically about crashes. That's all they write. This person just announced this week that they're leaving Austin for Dallas because I think what he failed to tell people is that his lease was up on the rental that he had. He's giving people financial advice, but he's renting. I find that interesting to go move to Dallas. So have fun, sir. See you in Dallas at some point. Good luck with your crash theory. All right. Just messing with Jeremy. Really tough. What do y'all think about recent drops in medium price home? Rise in inventory in Austin. So obviously recently we had a little bit more inventory hit. I think people need to realize that the inventory is not up as much as people think it is. We're still about 0.9 to 1 month inventory. I've been watching the market very heavily this month. Actually September, and I guarantee you the prices will surprise you when the numbers come out in September. So I think it's just a seasonal thing. Do you guys see in Florida, do you see a seasonal dip around that, June, July, August, September time?
Typically, no. That's when people from all over the country are buying their home here, or second home here. There's somebody in the comments that mentioned like international stuff. I mean, we have a massive UK, Canada, Brazil market here. It's like, especially around the parks, it's like massive numbers. We didn't see that at all this year, but we saw domestic kind of backfill. Right now is our slow time. So like September, October, and then it ramps right back up. So it's a little down, January 1st, but so does everywhere. But right now is kind of our slow season. But we're still similar to you, 1 month or less inventory. And so now it's like, is this a trend, right? So it used to be 2 weeks inventory. Now it's a month. Does that go to 2 months? Who knows, right? But something to at least pay attention to.
I love that you said it ramps back up during the holidays where it's probably colder in the north.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I'd imagine that's why. I don't know that I've seen that here. Have you guys seen that? Where it ramps back up in, your November through February?
I'm busy all November. I'm busy.
Yep.
I'm busy.
But you don't see it curve up where you're selling more, like where the average agent or whatever, the average sales are higher.
My biggest closed volume month is typically December. And it's because I put so much under contract in November.
I was going to say, and if you're counting new builds too, they want to get all those closed if they can before end of year.
That's also, I mean, that's a thing.
1031s, everybody's trying to get the tax stuff done, but I would say the average family.
Right. Yeah. November is usually our biggest. So we're not too far behind you. Our biggest month. It's crazy because it slows down in terms of sales in September, October, but people are still buying and just stacking in November. So we've got a massive, almost $20 million month in November coming up here. So it'll be big.
So this is an odd question. Florida's not too far from the Cayman Islands. Do you or are you able to stash money there? What's the process for stashing money from Florida offshore? Is it easy?
It's usually. I was going to say it's super easy. Yeah.
I feel like, Florida has a reputation. I don't know if you've seen it's a little tiny documentary called Cocaine Cowboys. Any comments on that?
I heard that you started that one, right? That was you.
Yeah. I was the guy in the background going like this a lot.
All the time. Yeah. That's also how they smuggle money. It's the same way.
Oh, got it. Just through the Caymans. Okay. So do you have experience with that, Ken? I mean, any thoughts?
Not as much, man. I like your hard-hitting questions though, Jeremy. It's good times.
Hey, we have fun on this channel, man.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked earlier about hurricanes. So, I mean, you're in Orlando, which is a little more landlocked or completely landlocked. What's the fear and like, what's the fear level in Florida typically for hurricanes? Because here we get bad weather. Hurricanes hit Houston more than they hit anywhere where we live. We kind of get tornadoes, but it's more Dallas. Actually, Ian, we might want to shelter down tonight. I'm sure there's going to be a tornado in Dallas tonight.
Probably.
But is that a big fear for most people, like living in Florida? Is it a constant fear? What's that like being there?
No, I mean, it's for the first year we were here, it was like, hurricanes coming. We sandbagged our doors and we were all nervous. And then it was like a tropical storm. And so being in Orlando, because we're like an hour at minimum from either coast, like Irma was our last big one. And it was like a category 5 when it hit the state. But by the time it hit us, it was a tropical storm. And so sometimes you root, like some of the older roofs will lose tile or, shingles, that kind of thing. Some of the older trees will come down, but nothing crazy. It's really not crazy here. I mean, Charlie, I guess, was the last one that came through back in like early 2000s that did some damage, but it's just not as bad as it is on the coast. So if you're buying coastal, your insurance doubles at least compared to Orlando, just because they know that's just not as big of a deal in Central Florida anyways.
Interesting. So what you're saying is you should probably move to Texas if you are going to worry about hurricanes.
Yeah, exactly. I would probably work with Ian though if I was going to move.
Yeah. I have to ask. So, what are some of the reasons that people are leaving there? Like, really, truly.
So, it's interesting. Forbes came out with a thing. I think so. Of the top 2 states people were moving to, Texas and Florida, 7 people were moving into Florida and 1 was leaving. And I think
Mhm.
Florida and Texas, it was, in Texas, it was 5-1, right? So everywhere else, it was like way less. And so really people move here and then leave. I don't know, they die. Like I don't know many people like leaving. They get relocated.
They leave the earth. They don't
Yeah,
leave
yeah.
Florida. They just leave. Actually, even then they don't leave Florida, because if they get married there, I mean, yeah, you're right.
So yeah, no, I just, in terms of the last listings that I had, many of them were like second homes that they weren't able to use a ton of. So you see a lot of people like giving up their home here, but it's not like they're relocating out of the state. So at least for the past 2 or 3 years that I've seen.
So I've got another question. Age demographic of people that are buying there.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So in Central Florida, like the Orlando area in general, it's you get a lot of younger families moving here. It seems like people are, or like we've got UCF here, which is like the second biggest public college in the country. They've got like 65,000 students. So like they move here and then they just don't leave. And so you've got like a lot of those kids come in, stay in, growing families. And then there is like, we've got the Villages an hour and a half from Orlando. So that's like the biggest retirement community in the country. There's 125,000 homes there in this one neighborhood. So you got, it's all of it, right? But for Central Florida, right in Orlando, it's a lot of younger families moving.
What's the name of that community?
The Villages. It also, get this, Jeremy specifically will like this one. The Villages, the 55 and older community, is the highest STD rate per capita in the country.
Sounds like Colleen here.
Yikes.
Well, it's a good thing they have all those doctors moving from New York down, right?
Exactly. There's this whole
that is not a visual that I want or need in my life.
It's,
Just being honest with you.
It's actually our second best performing video is like the myths about the Villages. And so it's
really
an interesting
good.
thing. It's interesting.
We've got a comment here from Dinosaur D toward the bottom.
Yeah.
Are laws favorable for landlords in Florida? If you have a non-paying tenant, how long does it take, to...
Yeah. So with, these whole, like the Biden laws aside, they're definitely more landlord friendly than say like California would be. They're similar to like, I lived in Michigan up there. And so I think it was, you can give somebody your 30-day notice and they're getting them out. But obviously through COVID with the CDC and everything that was going on, we were affected by that. There were a lot of like, I was pulling up foreclosure stuff, right? Actually just recently to find people that get more listings. And I noticed there was a lot of non-owner occupants that were delinquent through a lot of this, and it's a lot of the rental heavy areas. So through this, I know there's a lot of investors that got burned. But beyond that, we're pretty landlord friendly.
So do you see that? I mean, that's something people have really pointed to as why we'd see a correction or a turn in the market. Do you think that you're going to see a fair amount of foreclosures for that reason?
I think Kevin alluded to it earlier, was just like, the amount of like rental only communities, right? And because there's so many, I think, Blackstone and all these BlackRock, anyways, all these big money people buying these notes. I don't think we are, like, I think there's plenty of these guys that would step up to the bat and buy 1,000 houses at a time or 10,000 homes at a time. And we're going to turn into these like rental communities, right? I mean, are you guys seeing that a lot? Like with the new construction, these people just coming in and buying the whole neighborhood for rental?
I first heard about it like 4 years ago. Brookfield, Canadian builder. Yeah, they were building a community up north, I think in Georgetown. And like right before they decided that they were going to sell it, they turned right around and created a subsidiary and then bought all the homes back from themselves to rent and then sell potentially later on. So, and I thought that was strange. I was like, why are the builders doing that? And I think that was the beginning of a big wave of, institutional money. That's one of the reasons, like, I'm not as worried about it as I was before, is once institutions get involved in this kind of stuff, they keep it afloat because they have a massive vested interest in it. And if they want it to crash, they'll let it crash, but they also still have a massive vested interest in that outcome as well. So right. I think there's going to be some signals in there where that money is moving to and from. So I'm not too worried about it, but I never worried about anything, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. I think there's going to be money to be made, either way, right? It's just being able to follow the market and understand what's going on. But like, yeah, so I just looked it up. Blackstone's, they passed $1 trillion in assets under management. I mean, they're massive. So I think there's those companies out there that are going to eat up any kind of like potential foreclosure wave we see.
So I heard this rumor that they were going to dig an underground tunnel from Texas to Florida. Is that true?
I think I would invest in that, actually.
The tunnel, the Gulf tunnel. That's what I heard.
That makes sense.
We're good at perpetuating rumors here, so
we could just do SpaceX rocket launches back and forth.
There you go.
I also have another question.
This is quick.
Do you ever, like, when you get an accepted contract after you just beat out 30 offers, does the Thanos gauntlet go on one hand and Captain America's vibranium go on the other, and you like are running around your office like punching the air or snapping your fingers and stuff like that?
That's actually every single time, actually.
You ever wear them to closing?
I think he keeps the Thanos gauntlet in his car, just because if you're on the phone and you get that contract, you got to put it on, and then you look. I mean, but I guess if you're in your Florida and you're pumping your Thanos hand in the car on the toll road, I think it's kind of, you see that a lot. I mean, you're just not surprised it's not a handgun, right?
I actually would. I think the better thing to do with it is like you're in a stalemate of negotiation over repairs with an agent and be like, listen, I'm snapping my fingers. Either I disappear or you disappear. The winner gets this contract. So let's do it.
Wish it worked that way.
Same, brother. Same.
I'm curious, you guys. How many agents have you seen come into your market over the past 5 years?
That's actually funny because you mentioned that. I saw one of the. I don't know if I was reading something on your stuff that you said there's like 19,000 agents in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're not even. We had more agents, but maybe these guys know the number. But I think we're like 13.
Yeah, and you guys have a much bigger population, from what I understand.
Yes, correct. Yeah, and then it was like 11,000 5 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it's like almost doubled in the past 5 years. So
wow, that's wild.
How many do you think are exiting the market? That's what we really want to know.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. You look at like there's 19,000 realtors here, and like there's not even 19,000 listings. I think that we had like 3,800 listings the other day. I'm just like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing for a living? I don't even know.
Are we at, guys? 16,000?
Us?
I'm only. What are we at? I don't know. I only care about 10 to 15 realtors in all of Austin. So the rest of them I don't care about.
We talked about this in the spring. Like a lot of people got into our market this year because like, hey, why not? The getting's good. Let me just go ahead and get my license. Right. I feel sorry for an agent that started anytime in the last 12 months, because if you're a new agent trying to navigate buyers in this market, I think that we would have higher attrition actually during this state of our market than we would people joining, or maybe they're joining and leaving at the same rate. I don't know.
Honestly, that's been a huge value proposition for my team. It's like, listen, 92% of realtors don't make it to year 2. So my agents all make good money. You're supported by staff and coaching and leads. And, honestly, right now it's been really great in terms of just attracting talent. And now we get to actually, instead of me begging agents to join the team, it's like, they're lining up to interview. So it's been pretty cool.
That's so Ian and I are right now at the Tom Ferry Summit event, and there are 2 points. One, he did a graph of like what agents do what, and Ian at the end of the thing earlier goes, how many people here do you think actually do real estate? Right? I mean, there's like 4,000 people at this event, and I was like, well, the stats they posted was 50% do nothing,
0 to 2,
and then from 25 to 50 was very thin. And then 25 up was more, but really the top like 1% do most of the business in real estate. So I think that happens in Austin too. I mean, the biggest thing that I think anybody can do, this isn't a pitch to call any of us, but when you're doing your due diligence, I mean, ask a few questions about really what somebody's business looks like, because it's one thing to work with a new agent. That's fine. Like, sometimes people need help getting there, but you especially in this market, it's calmed down a bit, which is great. But if you're going to go into a 30 offer deal, right, you need to have a good freaking plan because if you don't, you're just going to keep writing offers over and over. And the other thing I get too, and I think a lot of people that call me from this channel are very prepared for multiple offers and what to expect. I'm sure you do a very good job too, Ken, of kind of educating people, but not understanding the market and coming in. I mean, you said at the beginning something to the effect that, you know, people come in and wanting to buy, you know, 3,000 square foot house with a pool for $300,000, like next to Disney. And you're like, what? Right. So I think that's one thing too. If you're going to be buying in the next year, whatever you're doing, really take a time and educate yourself. I mean, it's really easy to click on Zillow or Redfin or wherever and feel like you've educated yourself on the market, but it's another to actually be in the market, working in the market. All right. So my second, and so my second point was that I totally lost my train of thought. Yep.
Good point.
Cool.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I think there's around 14,000 agents here.
No, I got it.
Oh, we've dropped 1,000 in the last few months.
Yeah.
1,000 or two even.
Rid of some of that.
Good.
That's good.
I mean, really, think about it.
Yeah, I mean, how many of those people though? Like, I don't know what the stat is. I could probably make up a number, but a very small fraction of those people actually do more than one transaction. A lot of them do none, and many of them just do their own house.
We see the cycle. They drop whenever the MLS fees are due.
Yes.
Or their training is due, their CE credits.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm
out. I remember my second point. I was going to make the point that a lot of people, you know, Tom Ferry at this event is telling everybody the way to go is big teams, go to big teams. Are you seeing a trend where your team is attracting the right people and from then you're getting great clients? What does that look like for you? Because I know you have a pretty substantial team or a good sized team.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, we literally every single day I'm having at least 1 to 2 people reach out, and they're like quality people. Like, hey, I worked for so-and-so builder and I've been doing this for 10 years. I want to get into general, but I'm not really sure what to do. But like, you know, they've been like high quality people. Like, it's been really good. But then we've got plenty of the ones that are just like, I just got licensed. I want to get rich. Tell me what to do. So, you know, it's in between. But that second part in terms of quality leads getting attracted to us because of it. I mean, I think a big part of it is just the channel. We get a lot of leads from our channel. And the cool thing about YouTube, as you guys know, is that like, it's a much lower funnel. People are coming here to like search out information. They want to be a well-educated consumer. And like, those are way better people to work with, in my opinion, because they're not just like going by the seat of their pants. And so that's been cool to see that kind of shift for us.
One thing I get a lot is like, hey, Jeremy, I like just like this, right? Finally got an update on my house builder. Started delivering materials. I get a lot of people that I will run into in the middle of, you know, coffee, lunch or whatever, and tell me, oh my God, I love the channel and I love the information you've given out. And totally didn't even use me to buy a home, which is so fantastic. I mean, the whole point of my channel is information, right?
Yep.
The cherry on top is when people reach out to me. So do you find the same thing when you find people like recognize you and come up to you and say, hey, you know, I found value in your channel?
Yeah, all the time, man. It's been really cool. So people reaching out, like we were filming the other day, just like 5 minutes from my house, and people like honking, they slow down. They're like, we found this area because of you. And I'm like, they're not a client of mine.
Yeah.
So, you know, but it's cool that they recognize us. But what I have seen, and I'm hopefully you guys see this on your channels as well, like people like, we found the area because of you, but we used our cousin to buy the house because they're our cousin. Well, they're not in the business anymore. So we're coming to you. And so it went from where it was like 100% of our business from YouTube and people reaching out were buyers moving to the area. Now it's like 15% or so are sellers. And they're like, hey, we're moving somewhere else within, moving up, moving down, moving laterally, whatever. And so that's been a cool shift to see people now over the past 3 or 4 years, like continue to dig into our information and find it valuable. So I think that's cool. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Awesome. So back to the fun stuff that we're talking about, you know, buying homes. So this is a good question. And I think this is a good question to segue to you too. As demand has reduced in the Austin area, why haven't prices come down? Let's ask Florida. Are you seeing a reduction in demand right now? You said it's not really a time for that, but are prices coming down at all in Florida?
No. I mean, like, so here's the interesting thing. I have noticed that over the past 2 months, list to sale price has come down, but average price has stayed the same. And so what I'm noticing is like I'm going against, like I put 2 under contract this week, and both of them we got them, like one we got 25 grand off, and the other one we got like 7 grand off. But like we've got them for the comps, like all the comps that sold 30 days ago is like what they're actually selling for, right? And so instead of sellers saying like, hey, my house is worth 500, I'm going to list it for 550 and actually getting it, they're like, my house is worth 500, I'm going to list it for 500 and get 500 or maybe 505, right? So it's just not that like heated drive for pricing. And so seeing that a little bit.
I mean, yeah. What do you guys think about the market? I mean, we saw that prices kind of peaked in July at what, 575 and came down to 540. I have a very good theory of what September is doing, but do you looking at the market, have you seen prices come down, Ian and Kevin?
Yes. In some cases, I've seen a lot more price reductions, but I don't know what they're ended up selling for.
I think I've seen a lot more houses staying a little bit longer on the market. That's been a big trend. And not, when I say a little bit, I mean going from like 0 to 3 days to 3 to 6 days or something like that.
I think the data is actually, it's too, I mean, what we see and what the data actually is going to be completely different. Like, have I seen a few more price reductions? Yes, but I think Ian's right. They're just going to be on the market a little bit longer, and people are going to hold true to where they think the value is. But it's not unreasonable to think that every time you sell a house and the neighbor talks to you, and then you think, I'm going to get more than my neighbor got, because naturally, everything increases forever in all of eternity. That at some point you maybe have overshot and be a little bit more overzealous than you would have liked to have been. And so, yeah, in those cases, I think it is going to slow down a bit. But we know this, like from, what was it? August to September data or whatever it was, July to August data, it did generally, our median price went down a little bit. So, I mean, that's data.
So let me ask you this. I'm not some economist. I feel like you guys are probably smarter on this than I am, but like, how long do those trends go before like that's the new normal, right? Where it's like, hey, if median prices are going down, do we watch that for 2 months, for 3 months? And then when do you start saying the market's shifted?
Statistically speaking, like even 3 months is not statistically significant, because if you were to take an average, it means nothing. The median is one number, and like a good data set, you'd throw out the high and the low extremes and take one number. That still is not statistically significant. So I don't think that you can make a real call on where a market is until you've gone through full seasonality. And then you understand how the season compares to previous seasons. Now, I don't think that you can even compare. And we did this actually a couple of weeks ago. Jeremy, remember this? Like we compared data, but we went back to like 2019. Like we did fiscal years, like June to June, 2019, then 2018 and 2017, and then compared them to 2020 and 2021, because that's a more relevant thing. But like with getting shut down and having everybody go in their house, and then that pent up demand resulting in a massive increase in prices, like those are not two good data years. So I don't think that you can tell a trend until like at least another whatever.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be a while. I think maybe by next summer, let's put it that way, Ken. If my opinion is by next summer, if the trends will be very clear.
Yeah, agree.
I'm of the strong belief that I'm hesitant to give out the numbers that I think we'll see in September, because I like to do full videos about the numbers, but I think people are going to be surprised in the direction that prices go in September. And the people that are listening to specific people saying the market's going to crash are going to be like, oh, wait, he said the market was crashing, but the numbers are doing something different in September. So
they'll find a way.
Private chat me on like who this is. So
they'll find a way though, Jeremy.
Yeah, I think this person's talked about Florida. Yeah. So this person's talked about Florida. Yeah.
He'll compare like previous taco sales.
His dad. Oh my! Like his
taco sales have decreased, so therefore the market's crashing.
Yeah, he did a video complaining about Austin, that all we are is like cheap tacos and hookers or something like that. I don't remember what he said exactly, but
that's typical Jeremy Friday night, right?
Yeah. What day is it? Wednesday? Shoot, got 2 more days.
Jeremy's in Dallas though, so
yeah, I'm in Dallas. And you know Debbie's here, so we'll see her. Yeah. Did anybody know that Kevin has an engineering degree? He's not stupid.
Yeah. I mean, I also have an MBA. Don't forget that. So
yeah, that's not important. So this is a good question too, because people think about talking about tacos. People think about Austin has great food, and I've long contested that Austin does not have the great food or live up to the hype of the good food that people talk about. Is Orlando and pockets of Florida known for specific food, and is it really that good?
No, not at all. Orlando is known for like chain restaurants as far as you could see, and it's something I make fun of all the time. But like we have just recently started seeing like a bunch of like artisans pop up out of nowhere. Like all of these, do you guys have food halls there? Are food halls getting to be popular?
Yeah,
like you have like 15 different like. Why are you looking at me like that, Ian?
I was like, I want to understand the concept. Once I hear it, I'll say, "Oh yeah, we have."
No,
like where you have like 15 mom and pop shops, like a taco next to the meat market, next to the sushi guy, next to the donut shop. Like all
ours are in trucks though.
Oh, okay, great. So we're just hot here. It's hot there too. Anyways, we're seeing a lot of those pop up where you've got these little ones, like in every town is opening one, and they're like 20,000 square feet. So we're starting to see that, but that's only over the past 2 years. So no, for the most part, it's just like Mickey waffles and stuff. That's kind of what we're known for.
Yeah, Deep Elm in Dallas has one of those, and then we're getting more of them here. Like the plan at our St. Elmo area was to do a food court like that a few years back. It just hasn't materialized yet.
Hold on,
but I think
pause for half a second. You said where in Dallas?
Deep Elm.
Isn't that where we are, Jeremy? We haven't been able to find anything good.
Oh my God!
But it's like a Saturday farmers market thing. It's more like a food. It's more like a food flea market than anything else.
Yeah.
But there's also outdoor food and partying over there too, so you should be able to find something. And if you can't find, you're not looking hard enough.
Well,
I think to drive up there. I can be up there in like 3 hours.
No way, man. Yeah. I'm a top 1% local guide. I've been everywhere. I haven't seen.
So that actually begs a good question. So maybe it's not known for the food, but it's known for like that white powdery substance and OxyContin, correct?
Are we talking about
Florida?
Your parents' house, or what's that?
Yeah, that's Saturday night at parents' house.
I don't know what you're talking about, man. I don't get into any of that stuff.
I'm just saying Florida has a reputation for, being heavy in the salt.
It is. It says Austin has terrible salt as a thing. That's what it says over here. You're ignoring your people over here. Come on.
Yeah, I'm selectively editing the comments here. Yep. So go ahead.
I was gonna say, you see Aaron's comment, 807. People who think Austin, he says, the people who think Austin has good food are usually not from Texas.
Ooh.
I don't know about that one. Oh, that's pretty bad.
Steve had a good one and then just completely disappeared.
Yeah, no, I was going to go back to that one so this is a good one. So the person we're talking about, I'll send you the channel offline. He had an episode on Orlando, said the tourism crash and Jack loss from the pandemic is going to crash the Orlando market. He did actually do a video. I saw that. Mm-hmm. So did you see a crash from lack of tourism?
No, I mean, and literally, we was literally shut down. Like no Disney, no Universal for like months, and people were still flocking here to use our Airbnbs and buy the second homes. They saw it as a market. So we actually did. I will tell you, our international market freaked out because they couldn't come visit their Airbnb or their second home, and so they were listing like crazy for like 45 days. It went down, like prices went down like 5% in the short-term market, while everywhere else was blowing up, growing like crazy. So like we've got this very weird polar opposite market where you've got the resort market and then everything else. And so that does fluctuate a little bit more, but right now it's blowing up just like everything else.
Yeah. What's very interesting is if you look at the person's videos, they didn't really go off and like really get traction until they started talking about a crash. And that's what's kind of interesting. But I do like that they put a video talking about Austin being the #1 place to buy a property when he moved here, but he didn't buy a property, and now he's having to go rent in Dallas. So, yeah, that's your bad. Yeah. Oh yeah, you put it in the chat. There you
I'm
go.
gonna look him up.
I'm sure Dinosaur D is going to write it back in there too. What happened? What's up with your hospital wristband there, Ian?
Just to answer the question, it's for the event that Jeremy and I are at. It's to, I don't know, it's like a drinking wristband or something.
Didn't even use his drink ticket.
I know.
Well,
I
we
give them
haven't
away.
gone.
I should sell them. That's what I
Yeah.
should do.
We're supposed to
man.
go. We're supposed to go right now, actually.
It's always such a wild deal when you look at people's channels, and I'm not going to knock anybody, but like when you just look at it, like, I mean, obviously he's doing it for views. He's doing it different. Like you guys, your channel and my channel, we're looking to like educate people like on like actual real life, what's going on. And then there's like the shock value of like, how many views can I get so I can make money. Right. And so that's interesting. That's sad.
I mean,
and in a lot of the videos, it's a lot of realtor bashing. That's what gets me a lot. It's a lot. Like through the comments too, it's like there's a whole video about why agents are lying to you, and the big lie is that we're telling people that our markets are growing because of the amount of people here. That's a justification for the price increase. That's a small portion of why prices are increasing. There's a lot of other pieces of that pie. So you and yourself have lied about what we're saying, but that's okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
We just want to be honest with what's going on. I mean, we're not saying anything that's not true, but I also believe, and the reason we, all do this consistently together is I believe, and I know these guys too, live your life with an open hand, not a closed fist. Like, so, you treat people like they're, they want the information and they can make their own determinations based on that information. And that's how you should treat those situations. And I believe that creates an environment where people trust you a bit more and they come back to you for that information. We've never, on this channel for sure, have never implied anything that we're trying to create, scary situations or scare people into making decisions. We'll be the first to talk people out of buying here if we see something negative going on. I promise you that.
Yeah,
what do you say about Auburn?
We're all our own, taking our own advice.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Ken.
Unless you're open hand, unless it's a closed fist to punch Jeremy in the face. That's what the guy said. Over there.
Yeah, punch.
No, Jeremy has a
pinchable
face.
Pinchable face. Yeah. This is the question. So if somebody is not in the position to buy right now, Ken, should they buy because of FOMO?
No.
You gotta explain what FOMO is.
Well, everybody knows what FOMO is, the fear of missing Ian.
That's true.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So and that's the thing, and so that's the point I want to make is that
that's a great question. Actually,
the thought is that realtors are telling people to buy, right? But the reality is like, let me explain this the best way I can. If I have a client that comes to me that's not in the best position to buy, and I go take them to a multiple offer situation, do I win that offer?
No.
The answer is no. So why would I waste my time? I would rather waste my time writing offers and showing them homes. I'd rather help them get the resources they need and get them ready. That makes more sense. So that's where it really makes me mad when people, there are a lot of realtors that only care about their bottom line. Like I get it. We all work with realtors, and I would say 90% of the realtors we work with, we're not fans of. 10%, we're probably a lot. Like we like a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I appreciate, and that's, so on this channel, I try to bring on people that are good educators and really come from a good place. And that's why I really want to bring you on. Cause I feel like, while you do funny things in the car when you pump your fist with the Thanos thing, I think you mean well when you do it.
That's right.
All right, so we're about an hour and 15 in. We got to wrap up here in a minute because Ian and I got to go back and fill his drink tickets. Any other good questions for Ken while we have him on here about Florida versus Austin? Have we come to a decision yet? What's better, Orlando or Austin or Florida or Texas? I want to hear your comments in the chat as well. Who wins? Is it Florida? Is it Texas? Definitely not Houston. It sucks that we have Houston here. If we didn't have Houston, I think we'd win every time. Where's Katie Day?
She's at that party we're supposed to be at.
That's right. That's right. Thanks, Stephen, for the sticker there. Not as lucrative as fear-mongering clickbait education is paying it forward and for the greater good. That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's incredible.
All right, Ken, let's hear your best pitch for Florida.
Oh, dude, it's not Detroit.
Oh, the only way that could have been better is if you said it's not Houston or it's not Dallas.
Oh, I'm sorry. Try wind it back again. We'll get it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ken, what's your big pitch for moving to Florida?
It's not Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm voting for that.
There we
All
go.
right.
We gotta
Sign
clip
me
that
up.
out, set it up.
Yeah. Where do I sign up? Let me ask you a quick question. So earlier we were talking about as the questions start to come in, because this lags a little bit, but if there was like the perfect suburb that if you were going to buy near Orlando, what's a perfect suburb and why?
I'm a huge fan of Lake Nona. So Lake Nona is like the fastest growing area here. It's not the most expensive, but it's getting there. It's new infrastructure. They've got a ton of like just cool jobs going on there. A lot of white collar jobs where Disney's building their stuff. There's just a lot of cool stuff going on. So not a lot of chain restaurants and that kind of thing. So I think they're kind of creating their own culture, which is cool. So for me, that's like my favorite. But they're 10 minutes from the airport, 20 minutes from Disney, 50 minutes from the coast. So it's like a really great location. So I'm a big fan.
Nice. Ian, if you had to buy a place in around the Austin area, where would it be and why?
Probably Orlando near Disney.
And and around Austin.
Oh. I mean, I just bought a new place, but there's so many. I can't answer that question because somebody's gonna have.
Not
you
Houston.
know what I want? You know what I want? I want a place near Canyon Lake right now. That has nothing to do with Austin. That's what
All right. Sorry, Antone. Apologize. No more Houston stuff. We love you, Houston, especially Antone. We love Antone. Not. Yeah. Sorry.
No, I do. I love Houston. So these guys hate Houston. So if you're moving from Houston to Austin, please give me a call.
If you're moving from Houston, okay.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
That's a
good.
good pitch. I like it.
You know my answer, downtown.
Where?
Downtown.
You want to be downtown?
Yeah.
I heard you could just like grab a tent and pop it up.
Actually, I saw yesterday they were city and a bunch of police officers were actively filling trailers with stuff from the medians.
There was an article I read yesterday. It was on the way down with Ian when we were driving. So it was Monday morning or Tuesday. There was an article saying they are fully cracking down now. So it is more aesthetically pleasing. Where these people went, that's the question. And how can we help them? That's also another very good question, because I know a lot of people in the comments.
No,
it's an impassioned thing in the comments before.
I believe it. I was there. I was in Austin. Avoiding Jeremy a couple weeks ago. And, and there were amazing amount of tents going on. But I was asking the Uber driver like what's going on, and that was his thing. He was like, it's unsightly, but like where do these people go? We got to make sure we take care of these people. And it was like definitely something that you could tell he was really like very passionate about that thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's, the good thing about Austin is we do really care about people. And I think, that a lot of the voters that voted to clean up the site of Austin didn't necessarily in their minds want people harmed, right? But anyway, all right, a couple other good questions. And by the way, I did find it weird that when you were here, you said, "Hey, where are you at?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm near your office." And you're like, "Oh, now I'm going to lunch. We'll see you later." Or like, "Hey, let's get together tonight." And I'm like, "All right, cool." And you're like, "Oh, I'm at a movie with my girl." I'm like, "Oh, geez."
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah,
Nice. What you left out is you delay responding like 2 days. You're like, "Oh, I was selling all these houses. I couldn't answer."
I'm in a lake on my new boat. Is what I did.
Okay, that's fair.
I have no new boat, but Orlando area has nice houses. Austin are a bit older, no inventory. But you said that the roofs are falling off in Florida, right?
Some of the older areas, yeah, man. If they're like 30 years old, people forget to replace the roof for whatever reason. They're going to come off.
Yeah.
Salt water.
All that wind from the hurricanes. Any impact on housing demand in Austin because of, I'm not going to answer that question. Okay. So Kevin, do you have any other last questions for Ken Pozick? I mean, we have one of the greatest YouTubers out there. Give him a good question, man. Give him a zinger, if you will.
Oh my God, I would be like, Ken, why you so fly? But I don't know. Let me see. No, that I can't be put on the spot like that. I can't be put on the spot like that.
I've got
All
one
right.
I've got one for the new people watching the channel. Are you guys
Okay.
brothers? Or are you guys cousins? Or are you
Yeah, that's
guys
a good
knight?
question.
We're married.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just the laws right now.
Yeah. Don't tell my wife, but yeah.
That's allowed in some places.
No, it's brothers from another mother, man. It's very
You just
All I
happen
can
upon
say
each
is
other.
Jeremy looks like the milkman.
Oh man.
We actually,
That's funny.
ironically, we came from different parts of the country and then ended up in the same classroom at the same brokerage years ago.
Yeah.
And just made that love connection. It's meant to be.
The love connection.
Yeah.
Happily
Yeah.
ever after.
And then we adopted Ian.
Also a brother from another mother. Yeah.
Matt, while we're chuckling, Matt wants to know what area of Orlando 400K.
I would say Oviedo or Claremont are two good ones. Good up and coming areas. Get something new construction in the 400s.
Where can you get a good place, Ian or Kevin, in Austin for in around Austin for 450?
Oh God.
Anywhere not in Austin.
Yeah.
Bingo.
I mean, yeah.
Houston.
Not anywhere, but you're
It's a
gonna
long
drive.
drive.
You're
You
gonna
can still
drive.
get some older stuff in 4.5 for 450.
Yeah.
77.45.
Well, you say older stuff. You're talking like, well, we don't have to talk about.
You can get a
size.
1,400 square foot 3 and 2 from the 1960s or 70s that needs updating for under 450.
Ken, you got the best compliment from Steven. You're that cute nerd, man.
Dude, I'm that nerd Q. That's right. That's what my wife says. She's like, you're a nerd, but I love you. So
All right. I think we're going to end it there. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Definitely go over to Ken's channel, Ken Posick. Just your name, right? On YouTube?
yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
All right. Go find him on there. Subscribe to his channel. Do me a favor. Go to his channel. Write the most funniest comment you can on his channel. And if he puts it on his community page, I'll give you a high five. So, all right. There you go. I appreciate everybody. We'll see you later.